folks, I'm William Doe, and I'm a former sous chef at Mr. Ju's here in Chinatown, San Francisco. In honor of Asian Pacific American Heritage Month, I'm going to show you how to make Lanzhou hand-pulled noodles, otherwise known as Lanzhou Lamian. So what are Lanzhou hand-pulled noodles? They're an alkaline-based noodles that are incredibly chewy, springy, and sort of hand-strung. Invented in the early 20th century by a Hui Chinese Muslim. Now the cool thing about these noodles are that they consist of only 4 ingredients. We're looking at flour, water, salt, and an alkaline known as penghui. It's the secret sauce of Lanzhou hand-pulled noodles. It enables the dough to achieve its plasticity, that stretch that you may have seen in some chef YouTube videos. Chinese chefs, where they're pulling multiple strands. And because of its high alkalinity, it allows the noodle to hold its shape after being boiled and then served with soup. You could say that it's very similar to ramen, and ramen uses sodium carbonate, which is also an alkaline powder. Now, a fun fact, ramen is transliterated as la mian in Chinese. So ramen is derived from hand-pulled noodles. All right, so let's get to it. So you're only going to need 3 ingredients for the dough first. You're going to need 500 grams of AP flour, 250 grams of water, and 5 grams of salt. I like to think of it as a 2-to-1 ratio, flour to water, and then 1% in weight of the flour and salt. So in this case, it's 5 grams. What I like to do, just create a little mound, and this is what they taught us in Lanzhou. Add the salt. We're just gonna gently massage the flour. Once the dough hydrates with the water, the salt will also gradually disperse. So here I'm creating a mound with space for the liquid. Now I'm going to pour most of the liquid inside the crater of this flour. And as you can see, nothing is leaving. Ideally, we want to be very gentle when mixing the flour, so that it can be evenly incorporated with the water, but at the same time, we don't want any water to leak out. Take a look at that, right? It's kind of scraggly, it's not super smooth, but it's hydrated, and that's the most important aspect. Okay, so I'm gonna cover it with saran wrap, and we're gonna let it rest for 45 minutes and then come back to it. This dough is rested. I just unwrapped it just now. Notice that it is nice and smooth. And very similar to Play-Doh if you look at the consistency here. This is exactly where it wants to be. Resting between 45 minutes to an hour, it's perfect. Any longer, totally fine, you can do that. Now the next step, we're going to incorporate penghui. Penghui is our alkali ash, our alkali powder, the secret ingredient to that nice stretch. The thing about penghui though is you have to be very careful because it is very basic on a pH scale. It is roughly between like 13 to 14. So when handling it, you want to prevent any potential, chemical burns. And in that case, we're going to be adding some water to help create a little solution. I'm just going to dabble. We're looking about a 3-to-1 ratio. So 3 parts water and 1 part alkaline. So as you can feel it, the water might be a little warm because It is very similar to lye. You notice now, the dough is slowly hydrating and getting its plasticity. Feels like it's going to also still want a little more of the alkali solution. So now we're going to go back to that technique I mentioned about the zhumian. And here I'm just folding it over like this, right? And then rolling, using my palm to roll it back. Okay, I'm using my left hand, push it up, roll back. My right hand, push it up, and then roll back. Okay, and then you're going to do a test called chengmian. Okay, chengmian means to sort of stretch the noodles with both hands, and one way to do that is to do, this is the litmus test. So I'm just folding it, twirling it over, and you notice it's nice like silly putty. Right now you're just evening it out. And by doing this, you're creating these sort of like micro strands within the dough. All right, so this is our finished parcel. For my next step, I'm gonna start just a little more stretch. I'm gonna portion these guys into little parcels, but because as you can see, the dough is rather sticky right now. And why is that? It's because of the penghui. And in order to stop that, we're gonna use a little bit of oil. So I'm just gonna use a little oil. This is gonna be my landing spot for the dough parcels. You can use your bench scraper, dough scraper. Okay, just gonna do this, yeah. Every time it sticks, just keep stretching it out like that. Add a little bit of oil here. So notice when it's on oil, it doesn't really stick anymore, right? So portioning this out. Now, as you can see, this part is still rather chunky, which means that it hasn't been stretched evenly, right, versus the rest of this. And in China, what they instruct you to do is that you're just going to clip off the top, keep it on the side here. And a good measurement for the parcel, it's roughly about, ideally, 3/4 of a pound to 1 pound of noodle dough. Or a good test too is to just put your two hands together like this, and that's going to be the length of your dough. So again, like that. All right, so here we can yield 2 parcels. I'm gonna put it right here. Put these two, and we're gonna let it rest for about a good like 5 minutes. Okay, so the dough has now been rested for about 5 minutes, and we're gonna start pulling. Here I just have some AP flour. This is going to be for dusting. So again, when you pull the noodles, they're not going to stick to each other, and that's the whole point. Now, I'm gonna just take some of this flour here, just like dust it. Yeah. You don't need too much. In China, they also like to just put like a little pile here in the event, as you'll see. So I'm taking this parcel of dough, rolling it back and forth, just a little bit, not too much, okay? It's still equivalent to the length of my hand. I'm just gonna roll it out gently just a little bit. Okay, so you get this nice thick tootsie roll. Okay, so I'm gonna pull slowly like that, loop around. My middle finger is gonna be right here. Okay, a little clip, and it's a V shape. You notice it always has to be V shape. This is going to be your base camp when pulling noodles. Okay, your finger is gonna point up. You're gonna pull. And do the V shape again. All right, you're gonna lift up your dough a little bit because you can see there, this is like a little thin part. If you overstretch this, it's gonna snap. So you wanna make sure the dough here is all even. So V shape again, triangle, finger right here, pull. V shape again. Again, it's your base camp. And do that, finger, pull. Sorry, that was my pork container. Again, pull up, V shape. At this point, we've done about 5 pulls, okay? Then we're gonna do one more. An average hand pulled noodle is pulled about 6 times. So 6 times, I'm gonna pull it like this, right? And then I'm gonna use my palm, my hand, and just stretch it. Slap. Put this over this finger. I'm gonna use my index just to clip it off. And there you go. You can have the noodle.